Hey everyone, Shai Berger here. Great to be back here at TAD Summit, another great event that Alan has put together. And I'm only sorry that I could not be there in person, but I'm happy to present remotely this presentation that I think will be useful and add something valuable to the conversation that's going on there. The topic is platforms for customer service communications. Although to be honest, what we're really going to focus on is platforms for call center, simply because there's been so much movement in this space in the last year that just going over the most critical things is going to fill our time. So it's a little bit more narrow than the title might imply. So first, a few words about me. I am the CEO of Fonolo. That's my day job, so to speak, but I also enjoy blogging about the industry in a broader sense. And to that extent, I get the opportunity to talk to a lot of top executives and thought leaders. So it's a great position for me to be in to sort of hear what's going on, what kind of thinking is happening at the frontier. And that's why Alan asked me to come in here and give this talk. Fonolo is a callback solution for the call center. So instead of leaving callers on hold, you can offer them a callback. It's a great way to improve customer service. It's also a great way to make your call center more efficient. But we're not going to talk about that too much. I just wanted to put in the quick plug there. Also, it gives you some context to understand where I'm coming from, because essentially we're going around and retooling all these legacy call centers to be more modern and more in line with what consumers expect. And so that gives me this vantage point to see what's going on in the real world with call centers, the struggle companies have trying to pull out of the sort of the legacy call center equipment that they've been stuck with for many years, and how much time and effort that really takes. And it's great to contrast that with what's happening in this new modern era with CPaaS, and in particular how it impacts call center. So to get started here, I think it's not a stretch to say that this whole concept of API and platform thinking has really won big. And I know many in the room can feel a little bit annoyed at how much attention Twilio seems to get. It's almost like they take all the oxygen in the room. And I know that many people, there were a lot of other companies heading in that same direction that hit on the same innovation, and so sometimes feel that the attention is not fairly spread around. So sometimes I sense some, shall we say, resentment towards Twilio. But I think the real takeaway for everyone in this space is that they have proven the importance of this model. They've removed any barrier. Large companies that before were skeptical can no longer be skeptical, staring at the, when they confront Twilio's success. And that, is really good news for all of us here. That really helps move the ball forward for everyone. Now, an interesting trend that has emerged is that Amazon and Twilio together have become kind of like twin suns around which a lot of the universe is revolving. I mixed up that metaphor a little bit, but I think you know what I'm talking about. AWS, it seems like half the internet runs on it sometimes. It's really an amazing accomplishment what Amazon built in a few short years. And in fact, Twilio itself runs on Amazon. And so there's kind of this layer, just kind of this stacking effect. And then we've got the telcos in the background providing their piece of this. And so it's really interesting because what we have now is sort of a standard stack, an infrastructure on top of which a lot of the new entrants are being created. So we have a lot of call centers that are running on Amazon, and we have some that are running on Twilio, and then by extension on Amazon. So let me just fill out some of the names here, and we're going to start from the right. I'll just throw out a few comments. Aspect's new platform, Via, is on AWS. Genesis has cloud-based offerings through their acquisition of Interactive Intelligence, which happened last year. And so Pure Cloud, Pure Engage are the products they got. And I remember at the time that Interactive was the first major company to say they're putting their new cloud offering on Amazon. That was seen as a really bold move. People were saying, "Wow, you're putting a lot of faith in Amazon, and trusting them to not go down. You're basically adopting their uptime as your uptime." But now, in hindsight, that seems not so controversial a decision. Avaya is moving forward. They acquired a company called Spoken that allows them to take their legacy Aura platform and run it on Amazon. Oceana is the new homegrown cloud product that has struggled a little bit to get some uptake, but it too, well, I don't know if it runs on Amazon, but they say it can run on AWS, so I don't know of the real deployments out there, what specifically they're running on. Continuing, moving to the left, of course, we've got Amazon's own entry, and this itself is big news, that Amazon wants to be in the call center business, and we'll circle back to talk about Amazon some more. And then on the left side, we've got sort of the group of companies that have bet their product on using Twilio as the back end. And then this all became a much more controversial bet when Twilio announced Flex a year ago. And Flex just last month at the Twilio conference went live, so you can read a lot about that. And this is interesting because it makes you wonder to what extent Twilio is competing with its own customers, meaning this group over here on the left, TalkDesk, New Voice Media, Serenova. To what extent are they at a disadvantage compared to Twilio Flex? Is Twilio going to put its thumb on the scale to some extent and give Flex powers that other companies built on Twilio do not have? And you can ask the exact same question of Amazon. Does Amazon Connect get some advantage versus its competitors by being under the same roof of the company that provides the infrastructure? Now, I don't have any evidence that anything like that has happened yet. I haven't heard any stories. Please let me know if you have, but it's definitely something to think about. If you want to read more about this, I have a blog post. There's a title there at the bottom. So it has this diagram and some more commentary. We also cannot forget about Google. It has a cloud platform, and to my knowledge, there is one call center currently running on the Google platform, and it's a Dialpad, which is not surprising. Dialpad got major investment from Google, and its CEO used to work at Google Ventures. Oh, I should also mention, going back, New Voice Media just acquired by Vonage, which is interesting. We're going to circle back to that point a little bit later. Okay, so another way to look at this same structure. This is a chart put out by the analysts at Ovum. And so they put their cloud, the leading cloud call center providers here on this grid, charting overall execution assessment versus technology assessment. And the size of the circle is the market impact. And I don't actually remember what the color code was here for this, but it doesn't matter because I'm about to recolor it. My idea here was to take the same chart and now color them based on what platform they're built on, because the question was, all right, so you can draw the stack like I did in the previous slide, but maybe some of those companies are so tiny they don't matter. So that's not a representative. That doesn't represent the impact that Twilio and Amazon have. So here we have that same diagram recolored to show who's built on Twilio, so you see how much of this territory it covers. And then if we do it by Amazon, you see it's even more. It's all the large circles are built on Amazon. And I guess the point here is just to emphasize how dominant this stack has become in the space. And so the outcome of this dominance has really been to lower the barrier for entry. The difficulty of software engineering around voice was a constraint on innovation. It was hard to do the voice part of call center. That was something that required specialized engineering. Those people with those skills were hard to find, and so that meant not everyone could do it. And so turning all of the call center function into an API really removes that constraint. And I think it's reasonable to guess that with the constraint removed, we'll see a faster pace for software in this area. And when you look at an event like TAD Summit, with all of you there, your own CPaaS offerings, your own call center offerings, and look at the pace of innovation, I think that's not a stretch at all. Are there any downsides to having this kind of concentration, to having this kind of dominance between some platforms? Well, one downside, I guess, is the barrier is lower, so there will be more participants in this market, more competition, more confusion, and possibly, it's harder to get your message across because it's diluted. There's a lot of noise. Timing of new functions. So if Amazon announces something new, like new speech recognition or new text-to-speech, like they did with Polly, then all the platforms built on Amazon get that same functionality at the same time. So there's less lead time for any one feature, and you and all your competitors are going to get, if you are comparing yourself with your peers also built on Amazon or also built on Twilio, all of you get these benefits at the same time. So it's going to be harder to differentiate. On pricing, I guess people, it's logical to assume pricing will move down because of there being more entrants, more players in the space, and I don't have evidence yet that that's happening. That's just a guess on my side. And I think there's also a chance that we're going to see, not just new features, but whatever bugginess or whatever nuances or whatever weirdness exists on these platforms are going to bubble up to everyone. So, and I don't have a specific example. I'm just putting a bookmark there for everyone to think about this and contemplate what might happen if all our call centers are sharing their core functions from a single code base. So changing gears a little bit now, at another trend that's happened in the last year, and that is consumption-based pricing. So let's distinguish now between this and what has been traditional cloud-based pricing for the call center. And traditionally, the cloud providers have priced based on a per month, per agent strategy. And now we're moving into a strategy where people are paying per minute for the call, and that is all. So Twilio obviously leading that charge, and then that really should be the Amazon Connect logo, not the AWS logo, but you know what I mean, it's Amazon. We've got Vonage as well, and Vonage is interesting. They acquired Nexmo, which is Twilio's closest competitor in the CPaaS space. They acquired New Voice Media just a month ago. That was a big news, $300 million or maybe $350, I don't remember. And they too have a consumption-based pricing approach. And then there's the new entrant, Zylab. You may have noticed them at conferences with their giant futuristic truck. They're definitely an interesting company. So I don't know much about them, but I do know that they're offering this sort of pricing. So we have now 3 competitors, 3 different models in play in the market. We've got the old way, sort of the traditional legacy approach where you buy equipment and pay a maintenance fee. And this is still very much alive. Cisco and Avaya and Genesys still sell a lot of call center in this model. And it's not going away anytime soon. We've got then the traditional SaaS way. So this is kind of the race we've been tracking for the last decade or so, sort of legacy versus cloud, with this second bullet point where it's a per month per agent fee. And now we've got a new approach. I call it the new way here, which is just consumption only. So this is all very new and definitely something to watch. Now, I started the presentation talking about Twilio and how some in this space kind of lament how much they have grabbed the spotlight and become the dominant player. But I think that there's a good argument that there is another competitor in this space, someone that will give Twilio a run for their money, and that is Vonage. Firstly, they acquired Nexmo, which is Twilio's closest competitor in the CPaaS space. Largely has many of the same functionality, same sort of API. And secondly, they acquired New Voice Media, a cloud-based call center platform. Now, interestingly, New Voice Media, if you remember the stack diagram from earlier in my presentation, they were, at least to some extent, using Twilio. I suspect that's going to be swapped out for Nexmo APIs. And it makes you wonder, with the combination of Nexmo and New Voice Media, if Vonage will launch something to compete with Twilio's Flex offering. I think that's definitely worth keeping in mind. That's a logical move for them to make. If you want to read more about this, there's a blog title there at the bottom. If you just Google that, you'll find my blog post. Vonage has kind of sneaked up on taking a lead position in this space. And here we have a chart. I think this is from analyst Zeus Caravallo. And he's adding up UC as a service, CPaaS, so communication platform as a service, and call center as a service. He's adding up all three revenue sources there, and look at the leading position that Vonage has quietly taken in this space. So that is why I think this is shaking out to be a very interesting race. And Ring Central is definitely newsworthy as well. I could do a whole presentation on what Ring Central is doing lately. Very interesting moves there. They have just acquired Demelo to expand into a multi-channel call center offering. If you're interested in this topic, then I recommend a hangout session that we did last year. You see me there on the top left. The top right is your host for today, Alan Quayle, who also participated. On the bottom left, we've got analyst Dave Michaels, and then we've got former CMO of Genesis, Nicholas Dikoszkowski. And this was a really good debate on the same sort of topic we're covering today. And you can just Google the title there at the bottom. So I just want to remind everyone that sometimes it can seem like a long struggle to make changes happen in this industry. Anywhere where you touch on telco, things can seem like they move very slowly. But it's been a year with a lot of change and a lot of more exciting change to come. So thank you, everyone. I will stay online later on for questions. And you can certainly email me if you want to learn more about any of the topics I covered. And there's the URL for our blog there at the bottom. And I hope to see you all next year. Thank you.